So Ule gave it 1.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 1.5 out of 10 game?
No. No fucking way.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. Been a while again. We need to do multiple recordings in one go or something. We've all got lives, and I'm a very, very busy person. You know, slaves to feed, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so we're joined by Francesco
Hello.
and Alessio.
Hello.
God. Hello.
Oh. It's Sunday morning.
I think that's when we record it. I think the topics are quite simple. One, it's just the one topic, and it encompasses so much, and that is essentially what's going on in the real world. Putin, Russia invading Ukraine, and the reaction from the industry and the impact it's having on the industry as a whole. Not a massive impact, but there are people working in, based in Ukraine, and it's a massive impact, and it's massive to everybody in Ukraine. Putin's having innocent men, women, and children murdered. So yeah, but let's get started. I know, Alessio, you've interviewed a few developers. Let's you can start us off.
Yeah. I've had the chance to have an email interview with the Frogwaves, which you may know from games like The Sinking City or Sherlock Holmes. Francesco here even reviewed the latest one just a few months ago.
I even met them back.
Yeah.
I think at D3. Yeah, I met them.
Yeah, so Frogwares, as far as I'm aware, they do have like an office in Ireland, but yeah, most of them are Ukrainian and they are based in Kiev. So it's really a tough situation for them. Although they've said they have since like moved to other parts of the country, so they are mostly not in Kiev anymore. But as we know, the conflict is all over Ukraine now. I think the last reports are saying that even Western Ukraine is being hit now by Russian forces. So I hardly think there's anywhere that's really safe in Ukraine right now.
No. Well, they started bombing around Lviv as well.
Yeah,
targeting
exactly.
things. Yeah.
So as far as they've said, it seems like their offices are intact so far, but of course that's probably the least of their worries right now, and it's a really tough situation. And of course, other developers have also spoken out publicly, and for example, GSC Game World, the developers of Stalker 2, they basically said the game's development is essentially halted because of this. And, of course, this is sad, but for us gamers, but of course it pales in comparison with what they are facing. So we really hope that everyone is safe, although it's really hard to be safe in there unless you move out of the country. But some of them don't even want to, as we've seen. Most Ukrainians are still in the country because we know that perhaps over 2 million Ukrainians already exited the country, but there's still over 40 million people in there, and most of them don't really want to abandon their home. I mean, I've also interviewed the developers of it's actually a two-person team, Whistle Token, and there are two partners working in Kiev, and he told me, Alexander Molodkin, that basically they can't move because they have parents and grandparents who are cannot really move easily, and also they don't even have a car. So, but also he told me, we really don't want to move because some Russian assholes, just want to come in and invade us. I think that's the spirit of the people that everyone in Europe and most of the world are appreciating right now.
Yeah, well, I think everybody would think like that when you have a fall, when you have someone else trying to invade your home.
It's just
I think
madness. It is. It's just madness. It, the sad reality is, I mean, you can go into massive geopolitical discussions about this, and we all know that the invasion's wrong. Putin's just a bald-headed, child-molesting freak who wants to murder innocent people. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
But
think
companies have done the right thing. I understand the people of Ukraine. They're fighting tooth and nail for their country. And a lot of companies, even the ones I don't like, Ubisoft, they've done as much as they can to support their developers based in Ukraine. The ones who can get out, they've essentially rented them places in different countries where they can get shelter. A few companies have done that. So the help that's getting done for the people, even if it's just getting money over there, that's a good thing. I think companies could be doing more to get money to aid firms.
Yeah,
it seems to be mostly people. When you look at such as the Humble Bundle, I think it was a Humble Bundle with 650 something games in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should be They should be doing like I don't know, for this month. Some percent of their revenue goes to supporting.
Yeah.
This huge issue, because this is quickly turning out into perhaps the biggest humanitarian crisis we've seen in Europe.
I think it is
today.
the biggest now. Yeah, it's the biggest since World War II.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also, well, it's interesting because when I spoke to Alexander Molodkin, he said that the Ukrainian and Russian and Belarusian game development communities, they were very much connected. So there were conferences where people from all of these three countries went. They spoke. Even on their game, they worked with the Russian designer as well. So it was just normal. They were really close people, and of course, this is something that the world is breaking, because, for example, he told me now Russian developers are really mostly concerned about getting paid, because they have issues with getting payments from Sony or from Microsoft or other publishers. But they don't want to hear. Well, of course there are exceptions, but mostly it seems are kind of deaf to the Ukrainian developers' plea of discussing the war itself, and its inherent wrongness, I'd say. So
the thing is, we've seen ourselves, so many Russians have been arrested, so it's not right to hold it against the Russian people, and I think people realise that.
Most Russians are probably against war, but still, as far as I've been told that this war will leave a permanent scar on the relationships between Ukrainian developers and Russian developers. So maybe they will, the industries that were so close that they could be considered one new industry, they probably will become quite separate, because of what's happened. And it's really ironic because he told me like there's a lot of people in Ukraine and even himself that speak Russian more than Ukrainian, so they are really close to Russia. And I mean, for example, even Kharkiv is close geographically to Russia, and lots of people there speak Russian. To be like bombed this way with no provocation is just quite, just it's hard to explain, But as you said, it's mostly just the one man.
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's the sad reality of things. Yeah, so I mean, for the people on the ground, I mean, all I can say, and I implore all developers, especially Western developers, to donate some of your profits to aid firms. We've got, across, we're looking now like about 2 million people have crossed the border. Moldova's overwhelmed. Poland's overwhelmed. Every country bordering Ukraine is overwhelmed with people now. So get some aid, get some money there, get some aid there. You've made enough money out by nickel and diming people with your microtransactions. It's time to do something good with the money. Not paying it to your own little people who've probably got invest. Well, I'm going to say I'm just suggesting. I may be completely wrong, so I'm just going to suggest this as a massive fly on the wall for all the lawyers. It's just a little sarcastic comment, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bobby Kotick had money in certain Russian firms.
Well, with the global market and everything, it is very possible because before all this, before all of this, it was legit doing business with Russia.
I say it's highly possible, and probably it's highly possible.
Yeah. Well, but now he can't get to that money now. I think.
Yeah.
If there is money in Russia, he couldn't be able to get it. I think.
It's Kotick. I'm sure he's got some money.
Yeah, yeah, sure. He's going to go personally to Russia to get them in rubles.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kotick had a direct line to Putin.
Allegedly, for the lawyers, allegedly.
We're not lawyers.
In fact, it's just a joke, lawyers. It's just a joke. We're not saying that Kotick's a war criminal.
No, yeah. At least Kotick didn't bomb anyone.
Yeah,
he just stole money from kids, but yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, you're right. He is. He's just as bad. No, it's a horrible situation, and for the people on the ground, I mean, I've just been seeing it where you've got indie develop. I think it was Cthulhuin. That's a game that got released into early access on Steam, and that's a Ukrainian solo developer who just released it because, well, he doesn't. He's trying to sell it to obviously gain money just to help him survive as he gets whatever, but it's also something he's worked on, and he may never get to work on it again with this. And it's just, we're looking at it in terms of games, and that's all we can look at it. But the situation's horrific altogether.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Alexander told me, he was up working on their next game, which is like a 2D puzzle adventure game to be released on Steam. And then he first heard the bombs, So while you were working on a game, and then you are plunged into a war zone, basically, which is very jarring and just, I don't know. It's hard to describe it. And really, but there is another aspect to this story, which is, as we've read and reported on the website, most companies by now have basically stopped selling in Russia. So the question is, will this be more than a symbolic gesture, What do you guys think?
I think in reality, all the companies that are stopping selling in Russia, they're putting it out there. They're obviously going out there and saying, "Well, we'll not do business in Russia. We'll not do this." But the reality is, they can't anyway. These sanctions that are getting massively lifted, there's no way that, when it comes to physical copies, especially, there's no way that you've got EA, Activision, Ubisoft, or anything based in these countries shipping games out to Russia, because that's going to look bad. Oh yeah, it's just a big flight of boxed goods for Russia from a French firm or an American firm or whatever. And I imagine the sanctions have essentially stopped all this from happening anyway. Even digital sales were probably next to impossible now.
Yeah, well, they can no longer use their banks and credit cards, so
yeah.
I don't think they can't pay anything right now.
So I think the reality is whether the firms are coming out and saying, "Well, we will not sell we will not sell the PlayStation 5 in Russia." I don't think you can get it over there anyway. Yeah, we're not going to launch our new film in Russia. We're not going to launch this new game in Russia. And yeah, I mean, fair enough. Weren't going to be able to anyway. Belarus.
Yeah.
Belarus, until the sanctions really hit, in theory, yeah, they could sell it there, but I think they're lumping it together. It's a bit of a silly PR game, and I remember watching. It was Ule who posted in our general chat where he's on about one of the YouTubers who constantly talks about something. I can't even remember which. Oh, Upper Echelon. That was the name of the person who was saying about how it's targeting the Russian people and it's going to drive them more towards Putin. It's like, well, and the games companies and all that are going to be looked upon negatively. No, it doesn't matter. The sanctions are hitting. The law means that these companies cannot sell. That's the law. It's like, if you don't understand how sanctions work and the legality of it, don't make comments. Or at least just do your research beforehand. But I can understand different arguments. I can understand arguments where people say that all these sanctions are hitting the regular Russian people, and it's going to, like, I mean, you've got OnlyFans, like, the young Russian models who take their t-shirts off for people to give them money. They can't make money now, but the reality is, even if they carried on doing that, even if they carried on doing business, it's not OnlyFans that are stopping them doing this. It's the law. These are the sanctions. MasterCard, cut. Visa, cut. PayPal, no.
They can't be paid. They simply cannot be paid. That's the thing.
They say they cannot be paid, and any company that does dealings in Russia at the moment is going to get hit by a heap of shit.
Yeah,
that's just sound business. And I understand it's impacting the Russian people, and the regular Russian person. I have to hope and pray, especially with how many probably over 10,000 now has been arrested in marching on the streets in St. Petersburg, Moscow, Vladivostok, elsewhere. The younger generation, of the Russian people, do not want this war.
Yeah,
because they're young enough to know what the outside world's like, and not to have bought into all the propaganda.
Yeah, I mean they were born in post URSS, so it's it was. I'm certain most of them don't want to get back to that. So, but really, I do think they should do more still in that. I think the best solution from this could only come from the Russian side, because if they can, overthrow the madman, then the whole world benefits. But really, Russians first and foremost. I mean, besides the Ukrainians, but other than that, they would be the one with the most to gain. because being able to not have a new Tsar,
sadly, I'm going to say it's going into more than the gaming side of things, but the regular Russian person will not be able to do that. It's the oligarchs, and when they finally feel the bite, that's when Putin will end up going. Because and I don't know. This is me being hopeful, but I've got to hope even his most ardent supporters, even the generals, they're smart enough to know that going the eventual route of a nuke and this is essentially wrecking the country, and they'll never recover. Well, they will recover eventually. Everybody recovers eventually, but the damage is going to be so unimaginably hard.
And they ruin the relationship with pretty much every country in the world.
I say we think it's going to be bad here in Europe with skyrocketing gas prices, and for the petrol, gas, fuel for your car in Britain. With tax and everything, it used to be £1.40 something, £1.50 something per litre. It's already up to £1.70, and it's going to go even a lot higher than that. So the cost of living for us is going to be dramatically rising. Imagine Russia.
Yeah, that's true. To get back to what we were talking about. Yeah, for example, speaking to Alexander, he told me that most of, at least on the Russian game websites, when the news about all these companies dropping support for Russia, most of them were angry at the West, rather than Putin or just the Russian government. Because they were saying, we're just like regular people. This will not stop the war. I don't know. It might be just the vocal minority, so to speak. But I don't know. I'd like to hope that they are smart enough to understand that the Western people, like you said, we don't really have anything against Russians. We have a lot against Putin right now, because he's even threatening a nuclear war, which is really madness.
I think that is an empty threat, though, because he would be the first one to feel the impact if he does anything in Ukraine with nuclear weapons. Russia is right there. He's going to feel it first. So I think it's an empty threat, but the concept still stands that is just off the rails. I was wondering about the people actually siding with Russian people, saying that it's the West's fault. Well, I think that it's mostly propaganda, because create an enemy from the outside so that you just don't see the problem right.
I think anybody who's saying that's got some sort of vested interest in it. We've got this prick in the UK, Nigel Farage, who keeps saying shit like that. But yeah. I'm not going to say why, because I'll probably get sued if I say specifically why I think he's doing that. But we'll leave it to other people to decide.
Yeah.
But I will call him a prick, though, because he is a prick. But yeah, it's information warfare. That's what we've got on, and weirdly enough, linking to that in the games, I don't know if I don't think we covered it on the website. The Duma, the Russian Parliament. I don't know if they actually passed it or they were passing it. Last I read, to make it legal to essentially to pirate any sort of media that. Yeah, I knew it was going through a few days back. I didn't know if it was passed or blah blah, but it was going to get passed. Essentially. Essentially, the companies that may not be releasing their games over there, but if people want to download it, they will.
Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change for the companies, because they wouldn't have been releasing the games there anyway. So yeah, it's more like a propaganda war, doing something spiteful, just to yourself. attempting to try to counter what the Western companies are doing. But yeah, it's not going to have much effect, I think. At least for the near future. Then when this thing will be over, hopefully soon, then I think that is when things are going to matter most. If this is still active in Russia and piracy is legal, but right about now, I don't think it's going to matter much.
Yeah, indeed. No, I think if things were to get back to normal, they would certainly reverse that law, scratch it altogether, because it really wouldn't make sense for companies to do business there if they allow piracy so openly.
Well,
So
the thing is, they're just descend. It's a token thing anyway, because piracy has always been quite big in Russia.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But also, they do tend to play a lot of online games, and with online games, it's much harder. So
Yeah.
I
to do
suppose
that.
that's
Yeah.
something I was thinking about, and I keep, I've considered emailing the company, but to be fair, I don't even know if it's the right time, and I don't imagine I'd expect anything back. But like Russia's biggest gaming publisher is My.Games, or have they changed their
Yeah.
name? Was it My. Something? I can't remember if they changed it from My.com to My.Games, or My.Games to My.com, or from whatever. But they released titles like Conqueror's Blade, and I'm quite curious if we're going to have anything that's happens to titles like that, because I've not seen anything yet.
I know that, for example, the developers of Escape from Tarkov, who are also Russian, of course, they said that there will be no issue because they have servers all around the world, so it's not just Russia, so people could still play the game.
Well, I think it's more getting people who buy their games.
I don't know. That is something we'd have to look into. But yeah, for now the
Yeah.
servers are still up. Yeah, of course, quite a few Russian developers nowadays, and yeah, they're certainly not happy about this either.
Well, again, I think that's just the general thing, but I imagine it depends where they're based as well. If they're based in Russia, it's probably not the smartest thing to do a public statement saying you oppose the war. So I
Yeah,
don't know. It's,
yeah,
it's damaging. It's damaging a lot of different things, and I don't know. It feels flippant to talk about the side of it from the games industry. I just want the games industry to do more to help. I mean, the first company to essentially come out and do anything, and it's to be expected because the game's all about it. This War of Mine, the developers there, buy our game, it all goes to help Ukraine.
yeah.
And yeah,
They are. I think they are Polish, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the whole game's about: the horror of war and surviving in such a battlefield. But yeah, that they were the first to come out. Essentially, yeah, buy our game. The money goes over there. The money's helping people who are suffering, like even worse than this game's showing. So I don't know. I just think people should be doing more. The games industry should be doing more. It's fine cutting Russia off. Fair enough. You were going to have to anyway. But it's get some money over there. I think the Pokemon Company, they donated. I think it was 1 million. Was it $1 million?
Yeah,
I think it was a small amount, and I'm just thinking, it's nice, it's lovely, it's fantastic to see you doing that. But I think when the Pokemon Company must have that much money in the bloody bank, you can do more.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I mean, for example, the developers of Pathfinder, they're also Russians. So
Yeah, they're Russian.
we'll have to see how they It will also be hard to publishers like, for example, they publish their games through Deep Silver. So is Deep Silver going to keep working with them?
I think they will. It's like same as we said. If you stop working with these things, for me, the simple reality would be this, and I think I said this in a response to there's a like that's happening in regular sports. There's a Russian team involved in esports that have been booted out of the championships. Now they were complaining. Obviously, it's unfair on them. It's like, yeah, it is unfair if provided you don't support the war. And I think for me, for any company, again, I know it puts you in that sort of situation, but I wouldn't work with anyone that didn't explicitly say we oppose this war.
I think this will be very difficult for people that are in Russia. Like we said before,
Yeah, and
it's probably not going to be easy for them.
I understand that situation. I understand that issue, but I think that's the only way to make sure you're not working with this. Even I suppose even if they say it internally, they just openly admit internally, like a statement to be made.
Yeah, but how you as a European publisher, how are you going to justify continuing to work with Russian developers if they haven't said that publicly? I mean, people are going to ask, why are you letting these developers if they haven't spoken out?
Yeah, it's
publicly?
so awkward.
This is the issue.
It's a thorny situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm of the mind. I understand that it's dangerous, but the companies have got so many people working on it. I don't think I would be able to work with anybody or support anybody who didn't explicitly say it, even publicly. And I understand that. To be fair, I don't even think it will put them on the map. As in, I don't think they're that influential. I don't think Alcat games are that influential that Putin's going to be worried about what they say.
Well, we don't know how that works over there.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to condemn the war, they'd have to acknowledge that there is a war to begin with. As we know, he basically made that. You can't do that in Russia, otherwise you risk being arrested. So that's
maybe if they say we don't agree with special military operations. I'm being facetious, but you know what I mean. It's one of those things. It's just me. I'm hard and fast on that. I wouldn't be able to work with somebody unless they explicitly condemned the war, even knowing full well that it's not that easy for them, and people could say a million times, I know it's not that easy to explicitly say it in a state like Russia where you've still got, well, the FSB, that's what they're called now, not the KGB, but same thing.
Yeah.
You've got people like that breathing down your neck. It's such as that sort of state. Yeah, I don't know. We've seen a lot of people leaving Russia, and you can still leave Russia. There are flights seen people, and I've heard stories of people fly to Istanbul and get somewhere else. I don't know.
I know that. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to suggest, because apparently thousands of Russians are already going to Finland. I think game developers who can. I mean, of course, for large teams, it may be difficult, but relocating elsewhere it could be a really good option to consider. I mean, for example, 4A Games, they are Ukrainian, but back when this whole shit started in 2014, they said, okay, this is going to shit, so we're moving to Malta. Yeah. So they were smart, and now they don't have such issues anymore.
Yeah. So I don't think I can say much else on it. I mean, it would just be repeating ourselves. Let's go for the low-hanging fruit. What's everybody playing? I feel so bad even saying that.
Yeah.
Francesco can talk
really
about
gave it
Babylon's
1.5
Fall
out
and
of
why he
10.
thinks it's not the worst.
Yeah.
Is it 1.5 out of 10 game?
No, no fucking way. No. Like I said, I wrote that piece the other day because I played Babylon's Falls right from the first beta, and I kind of agreed with you that it was a bad game. But as I continued playing it, I said maybe it's not that bad. It's not a good game. I mean, good like an 8 game or even a 7 game, but it's definitely not a 1 game or 2 or 3 or 4. Because like I said in the piece, those scores are for games that don't work. Like you have technical issues all around, you crashing. Ooh, I lost my headphones. Crashing always crashing. That's not the case with Babylon's Fall. The game works. It may not be that much fun, but it works. And when you get to the end of it, it actually becomes fun. Sure, you have to go I think it takes like 10 hours to complete the campaign and get to the end game. But at that point, it feels more like, it's like a more streamlined version of Astral Chain. It has similar concepts that you have to time your spectral weapon attacks with the combo so that you deal more damage. At that point, it's more fun. There are more players playing the end game, so you always find someone to play with, and it kind of works. Like I said in the piece, it's I feel like all these mechanics that get unlocked at the end have been held back so to retain players and get them to spend money in the game. So yeah, it's mostly Square Enix's fault, and they don't inspire much confidence with what happened with Marvel's Avengers. So I can understand why people say this is bad, but it's not the worst game. It's not the worst game I've ever played, and it's not the worst game ever because you see all those hyperbolic statements. This is total trash. Oh, this is that. It's not. I think it's the opposite of when something gets overhyped. Like, well, for example, I always think of
Over-demonized?
Cyberpunk overhyped.
Over demonized, then the opposite. I suppose.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because it's become the new trend to shit on Square Enix because they do plenty of shitty things, but they're not the worst out there. They put out great games. Together with Babylon's Fall, they released Triangle Strategy, and that's an excellent game. I've
We
been
do
playing
need
it,
to
and
buy
it's an
that.
excellent game.
Do
Yeah,
need to
it's
buy that.
it's a very very good game. It's very well designed. They didn't promote it much, and that's another issue. But they're not like they're. The way I talk about Square Enix, it almost feels like we're talking about the worst Activision, the worst version of Activision, like predatory practices and all that. Babylon's Falls, you don't need to buy anything to get these
I think
mechanics
to
and
me,
make the game fun.
from what I've seen of it, I've not played it, so I can't say. But what I've seen of it, it just looks like a below average game. That's what from what I've seen.
Yeah.
The graphics look like they belong sort of like late end PS3 more than anything.
Yeah,
Visually, it's quite.
I'm not saying it's the best game ever or the best game. I don't think it's even Platinum's game's worst game, to be honest.
I think I suppose it's the expectations when you come with Platinum Games and Square Enix. You expect something.
Yeah, maybe people were expecting another Nier Automata, but Nier Automata wasn't just Platinum Games, and it wasn't just Square Enix.
Yeah.
It was Yoko Taro, and let's not forget that when Square Enix released the first Nier, then they disbanded the team. They disbanded Cavia.
Yeah.
So Square Enix has really almost nothing to do with Nier Automata other than we paid for the development. Yeah. We pretty much paid for it because they didn't want Yoko Taro games. They weren't big sellers.
I suppose then the question is it worth buying? And I'm going to predict the answer of no.
No. Not at full price. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Not at full price. But if it's going, I think it's going to free to play very soon.
The
player base is going free to play soon.
That's what I was meaning to say, that it's probably going to go free to play soon. I mean, it already has lots of microtransactions, as far as I understand.
Yeah,
So,
there are a lot of
so
them, but
so it
you
makes
don't really need to. You don't really need to spend money to play the game. The thing that makes the game playable. Let's say playable. You don't need
Okay.
to spend. It's just cosmetics. Who cares
Right.
I
about
mean,
them?
if they really want to do a live service game that's really supported over time, then absolutely the best thing to do is to switch to free to play,
Yeah.
and eventually maybe the game can improve and over time.
Yeah, if they don't, like I said in the visa, if they don't pull the plug earlier,
Go So
because sales are abysmal.
fair enough. What have you been
So
playing,
yeah,
Alessio?
Uh, I've been playing. Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, absolutely, I can talk about it. I've been playing Ghostwire Tokyo. So yeah, that's a pretty cool game. Um, in the hands-off preview, I described it as a kind of Japanese style control, which I think is not too far off the mark. Because unlike The Evil Within, it's not really a horror game. It's more meant to be an action adventure with supernatural elements, and just like Control. Unlike Control, it allows for more exploration because it's quite big of a map. There is even fast travel. Uh, between various parts of Tokyo, and it's very quirky in that you have cat vendors who are really yokai, so spirits, but they are cats in appearance. And you can buy all sorts of interesting things from them. You can go around the map to retrieve things they want, items they care for, and you get paid. And I think it's also, it's very cool because, as the developer said, they have tried to, showcase the mix of old and new that permeates Japanese culture and architecture, and especially Tokyo, where there are, very new buildings and skyscrapers even, but they are next to very old buildings. So that's an interesting twist, and of course they have the supernatural elements on top of that. Something cool is that you basically go around the city, and you have to basically save souls because
Suppose the question's going to be though, is it worth buying?
well, as far I think so, yeah. Maybe not at full price, but as far as I've seen, it's pretty meaty as well. So the developer said it has 15 hours just for the main story, and about 30 to 40 with all of the side content. There are also some side quests.
Yeah.
So I'd say yes, absolutely. If you are into this style of games, I think maybe the combat, while it's interesting, it's a bit worse than Control, where it's really highlight of the game. But overall, I'd say if you like Control, and if you are interested in this kind of Japanese twist on it, more towards ghosts and just Japanese lore, yokai, then you really should consider it.
I'll have a look at that then. And as for me, I don't have time to play games. But I've been playing different things. Still playing Lost Ark where I can. And I've also got Elix 2 that I've been playing because obviously we were so crammed with the reviews that came out. So that's my aim is to get that for a Sunday review, which should be hopefully a week
What
today.
what do you think about it?
I'll see. I enjoy it for what it is. It's Eurojunk.
Eurojunk.
Yeah, I enjoy Eurojunk games. I know they're not amazing. I know they're not. It's not. It's never going to be a 9 out of 10 game. It's not. But it's Piranha Bytes. It is Piranha Bytes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will say it's Piranha Bytes. I like their games. I like the Gothic series. I like Arcana. I just like their weird games. And
Yeah,
it's
you
probably
got a lot
even
of
weirder
freedom.
where you're wandering through a lush forest and then it threw me off in the very first part of Helix 2 where you're wandering through trees and there's a river next to you and then a cutscene goes and you're running on like a barren mountainside with hills and it's surrounded by desert. I'm like, this isn't where I was. Anyway, that'll get me. I'm wondering what the bloody hell's happening. What's happening. But I enjoy it for what it is. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah. And other than that, I mean, a while back, and I did get a review of Gran Turismo 5, 6, 7. Which one is it now?
7.
I don't know. The one with too
And
much grind.
And you've lowered the score after the review.
I did, and that's simply because when I reviewed the game, they didn't say how much the microtransactions were going to be. They let you buy in-game credits. And they've done a Ubisoft with what Ubisoft do with the Assassin's Creed. I mean, I'm wrapping up now because I need to go. It's too grindy. That's all it is. And they sell in-game credits. They essentially want you to buy in-game. They want you to buy the cars for real money. You can get them all just by racing, but it's so grindy.
So hopefully that's not indicative of Sony's live services because they're going to make more live service games.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll be keeping my eye on it. I'll be keeping my eye on it because chances are I imagine I'll be reviewing most of the Sony games. It gives me a reason to turn the PS5 on. As long as they don't do this with Ratchet and Clank, because if they do it with Ratchet and Clank, I'm going to go on a murder spree.
They're going to give you NFTs for Ratchet and Clank.
If they do that, I will be killing somebody. Probably you for mentioning it.
Okay, but I'm not sorry. I don't get to decide.
You will become Vladimir Ray or Chris Putin again.
Somebody. But anyway, yeah, I think that's me done. I need to rush.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, we've covered everything we can anyway. So yeah. Thank you all for joining us, and yeah, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.